Oi, budge.
Take a second, judge everything, then respond and react appropriately.
So it's that calmness then?
Yeah, basically, cool. But Bugs Bunny, you'd say, is the cool one. You know, something blows up and he's standing there and he's, you know...
Wildy Coyote?
What's that? No. No. I feel I'm not getting through. What they do is they stop, they think, and they respond and react appropriately.
It's been discovered that people who are lucky are actually just really observant, are good at responding with solutions. If somebody considers themselves lucky, it's actually a case of they've just observed the situation, they've analysed the situation, and then they've come up with a good solution to that situation. Whereas people who regard themselves as unlucky just go, oh, I can't figure this out, and they're not very observant of as to what's happened.
So, why are religious people more resilient than non-religious? Would you rather be a lighthouse or a palm tree? Most people think lighthouse, but resilience tells us otherwise. Many of us actually misunderstand resilience. So today, Budge answers these resilient questions and explains what is it and how can we build more. We hope you love the episode and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're listening.
Welcome to Budge, How to Fudge Being Human, the podcast that helps you be better at being human. Think of a time when you figured you weren't going to get through something, when you figured you weren't going to make it, but something pulled you through. You managed to actually achieve whatever it was that you were struggling with, and you kept going no matter what. We're talking today about resilience, and as always, I am here with my good mate and co-host, Dr. Darren Copping, behavioural scientist. How are you, sir?
I'm lovely. Yes.
You are lovely. I like your shirt.
Yeah, I'd like to point out the middle-aged man's uniform of Ralph Lauren polo shirt. They seem cut very nicely to make one look slimmer than one actually is.
One step worse than Tommy Hilfiger, to be honest, mate. I've actually gone for the trying to be cool middle-aged man by going the retro Rocky Balboa Apollo Creed fight.
You'll think of Bilboa.
Yeah, but it's whatever. We're not pulling it off, mate.
But are you wearing that subliminally because we're going to talk about resilience today?
Possibly, because you asked me. You actually asked me to try and think of a scenario of what represents resilience to me. And what's quite scary is that I thought of two. The first one was the one that you wrote on the notes, which was a bit like, how did you know that? Which is the whole erect lighthouse situation.
That's how I knew you'd bring it up.
Absolutely. But the other one was, I sort of thought about the boxing sort of situation, what the Wilder against Fury, where Fury was knocked out.
Again.
Fury was knocked out. I just don't know his name.
By Mr. Wilder's wife.
Mr. Wilder's.
Tane Wilder. Yeah.
But Tyson Fury got knocked out, and you thought it was all over, and he just got back up. Which again, there's 1,000 boxing stories like that. And I was trying to remember which Rocky movie it was in. I think it was all of them, because I think they're the same movie, which they're now calling Creed. Where he's out and about, he's got, I don't know, Dolph Lundgren or Mr. T pretending to be someone else or somebody. And then Apollo Creed, one of them, or the guy that played the Penguin, somebody's shouting at him or he's doing something.
What, the 1970s Penguin? Was that the man?
Yeah, Burgess Meredith, the guy that played the Penguin.
His trainer?
Was his trainer.
No!
Yeah. Did you not know that?
I did not know it. I wonder why he was a bit familiar.
Yeah, well, he didn't have an umbrella.
Finally, you've imparted some knowledge of use.
It was because you just used to see him with an umbrella. That's what it is. Yeah, so someone's shouting. He's shouting at him from the side.
He had a good nose job, didn't he?
He kicks the bucket, but it's always somebody there that pulls him through, and he always makes it no matter what. So I guess that's what I thought about.
That's interesting what you say as well. There's always someone there that helps pull him through. Okay, I'll touch on that later. That's a really good point.
Okay, so do any of those represent resilience?
Crap. No, and I thought you might say the lighthouse one, because a lot of people, in fact, if you go on Google Images and do an image search, when I've done it before, the things that represent resilience are often little flowers pushing through cracks of concrete.
Okay.
Which is nice, represents you, I think. Yeah. And pushing through cracks is mostly you. And but also lighthouses, they're standing strong in the face of massive adversity of incessant waves crashing on them. But it's actually an erroneous concept of resilience, I think, from what I'm reading on the subject. Because a more accurate one is really if you think of the Boxing Day tsunami images, mean, what do you think if you think of images or stills in the aftermath of the Boxing Day 2004
it was just
tsunami?
awful, wasn't it? It was horrendous. Literally, just everything wiped out. Everything's gone.
But was it everything? If you think in your mind's eye, is everything gone on that beach? There's flotsam and jetsam. Flotsam floats. Jetsam has been jettisoned, so it's been deliberately thrown away. That's the difference between the two.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, and the bloke was actually Penguin in the early Batman things. And but if you think of those images of those beaches and the wiped out, flattened, steel reinforced resorts, is there anything that stands up?
Would it be the palm trees?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's it. Spot on. The palm trees are the best representation imagery I can think of that represents resilience. And do you know why the palm trees were still standing? Because their root systems aren't that great.
I was actually going to go there first, so I assume they had a deeper, better root system than everything else.
Assume that, and they do have decent root system, but it's no more than many other species of tree. So the key thing with them is that they're bendy.
Yep.
They're flexible, and that is the core of resilience. It's the flexibility. It's the being able to bend in the face of adversity and change, and then they can spring back up again afterwards. They can bounce back, which is
so. What you're saying is resilience isn't necessarily the ability to withstand something; it's the ability to sort of go with it, adapt to it as it's occurring.
Yeah, psychological flexibility, really. And you come back. You can be in the same place, but you've gone with it, you've bent, and you haven't necessarily resisted. You've pushed back a bit, but you've it's that flexibility, and it's fantastic. And that is one of the core parts of resilience, really. And resilience, I guess, the definition. I think you looked up the definition, didn't you, and uncovered the academic definition that I've written down for you in front of you.
Let me have a look, really cool. And I'll scan through your notes. Building mental toughness and reducing stress.
Bloody hell, Paul. It's incredible. No. No, it's the ability to withstand, grow and thrive in the face of challenges. Now think about this one, though, the ability to bounce back from adversity. Now, so that kind of describes a bit what we were just discussing in terms of palm trees, But sometimes I've chatted with somebody who's an academic and written books on resilience, a lovely lady in New Zealand, and she's said, actually, my adversity was my kid dying.
Oh, dear.
I didn't want to bounce back from that. It's like, I'm better now. It's great. It's that you don't always have to go back to where you were beforehand. Yeah. So there's another thing that happens.
I can't imagine that be something you'd ever recover from.
No, really. Exactly. And necessarily ever want to recover from because it doesn't seem appropriate. So look, this bouncing back from adversity, but there's one thing that's been added recently, and that's, or relatively recently, is to bounce forward when there's opportunity is part of resilience. Because a lot of people, when they've been knocked back, I feel like that we should have that song on in the background with that astronomer. I get knocked down, but I get up again.
What's an astronomer?
Rocky one. Yeah, that guy, that astronomer we saw last night when we were looking at podcasts. He was in that group, Chumbawamba.
The English guy that shares his name with someone else.
Most people do as a parent or something.
No, there's a famous actor in there. They both have the same name.
Really?
Yeah.
We're talking about people we can't remember the name.
Literally,
but we're discussing.
I might
ad infinitum.
Ask our producer to Google famous astronomers. Yeah. Anyway, mate, keep going.
Yeah. Anyway, Chumbawamba is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So the ability.
Brian
Cox. How could you forget his surname? It's you all over, and yet. Anyway,
but there's also a famous actor called Brian Cox. They were both.
Yeah,
they both appeared together on. Something or another. Some other bloke's TV show I can't remember. It's probably not something we should talk about. Well done,
producer.
Thanks, producer.
You got up a good picture of
Brian.
Right.
Brian's. Anyway, so I bring you back.
So it's bouncing forward when there's opportunity. Often when you've been knocked back or faced adversity, you don't even see opportunity when it's there. I've had this with job seekers where they've gone to chat to their mate, they're unemployed, and their mate's going, oh God, I'm at the warehouse and we're overwhelmed at the moment. I just can't find people I can trust to work with me. And you're sitting there with this unemployed guy, and his mate walks off all frustrated, and you say he was basically offering you a job, asking you to put your, do you think he was? No, like that. And you, when you've been single, You know, you don't know when people are throwing themselves at you. You didn't even notice.
It's awful. It's a terrible trait.
But that is another element, perhaps the third element of resilience in terms of a definition. It's to bounce forward when there's opportunity that's there as well.
I noticed the one that mattered, because you will watch this, you know that. So.
Oh, she will. I thought you said you will. Just unrequited love is killing me, mate. It's the only reason I do these podcasts. Right. Think as well of movie stars that you think of as resilient.
So I've got to go palming on you here. Although my mind also then went to Elmer Fudd for some reason, because no matter how many times he doesn't get anywhere.
You're serious about Elmer Fudd?
Yeah, because no, he does. I am, because no matter how many times Elmer Fudd doesn't achieve anything, he always bounces back. He never gives up. That's not resilience, though, is it? He never actually gives up trying to shoot Bugs Bunny.
It's interesting because you've got to know to keep going is resilient, but you've got to know like that flexibility when you're flogging a dead horse, when you've hit a brick wall.
Yeah, which probably Elmer Fudd probably doesn't. Yeah. So look, being palming, I've got to go James Bond.
Yeah,
and just beautiful. You know. Bruce Willis comes to mind as well, I guess, with current news events, his poor health, you know, the Die Hard movies. Is that would that be resilient though?
Yeah, and Van Diesel, Shrek.
You threw Shrek in.
I don't know why Shrek. Clint Eastwood. And there's one thing they always do when the world's blowing up around them and it's sort of needing a hero and what have you. You know, everyone's panicking and screaming. Yeah. What is it?
I'm trying to think. So this is probably some awful tagline or something, or something they say.
Yeah, don't get short in my eye. No, they squint. Yeah. They squint, they take a moment, they breathe in, take a second, judge everything, then respond and react appropriately.
So it's like calmness then?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Cool. It's a great definition. Yeah. You'd describe all those characters you said, Elmer Fudd in particular.
Yeah, he's so cool.
As cool. I think he's gone beyond resilience, Elmer. Mm. But Bugs Bunny, you'd say, is the cool one. You know, something blows up and he's standing there and he's, you know...
Wildy Coyote?
What's that? No. No. I feel I'm not getting through. I feel like I'm flogging a dead horse here, so I'll be flexible and just move on.
Yes. You're so resilient.
Yeah. But they're great. What they do is they stop, they think, and they respond and react appropriately. And out of the 7 pillars of resilience, which is my favourite book on resilience, called The Resilience Factor.
Why is that your favourite book?
Because it's just got clarity. It's got 7 elements of resilience that you can think. So when I'm teaching resilience, if anyone's got a question, thinking of these 7 elements always enables me to answer it. So you said, well, why are they resilient? Those movie characters, you know, they stop, they think, they're almost mindful for a moment. They're cool, but they do 2 things, 2 of these 7 pillars, and they don't knee-jerk react. So they've got control of their impulses, and they're also emotionally regulated. They don't let their emotions run away with them, become excessively angry, excessively sad, and that's what coolness is. So it's interesting. Thinking of cool movie characters is giving you 2 of the ingredients to be resilient.
Yeah, so it's keeping calm and sort of maintaining composure.
Yes,
and evaluating, I suppose, the situation.
Yeah, and giving
as opposed to you
break.
running, screaming from. I suppose your property is surrounded by snakes. It's lovely farmer on. So there's 7, mate. You've just covered 2. Surely that means, based on my maths, there's another 5.
Yeah, because I remember talking about this before with you, and you said, well, can you teach resilience? Are you just naturally a resilient person or not? And you think...
there must be some people that are more naturally resilient than others, though, right? Because you do always get that one person in some scenario that's like, the world's going to end and all that sort of thing, you know?
Yes, I guess people more naturally, one thing or another, everyone's on the spectrum of everything. But you can teach it and you can learn it and you can respond differently to how you used to. And it's like faking it till you make it, you know, learn how to force yourself to take a second before responding and then respond appropriately. So, and one of the other key things is, can you teach it, is instilling this core of resilience, is this sense of self-efficacy or agency or control, I guess, is that I am in control of my own future and I can change it for the better. So I know people have just kind of given up because they think, there's nothing I can do about it. That's different from banging your head against a brick wall and trying over and over, doing the same thing again. You need to be flexible. And that's what people really need to be. That core to that flexibility is this self-efficacy. I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. I can change my future for the better.
Yeah.
But then there's causal analysis, which makes me think of you. And this is being able to think or interpret the real reasons for things that go well for you or go badly. So if you won the lottery, would you think, that's me?
I'm so brilliant at the lottery.
Yeah, my skills.
Yeah. Well, it'd be luck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But also, have you had people say, I didn't get that job interview I went for? And you go, why? And they go, I think I was overqualified. They were threatened by me. I was too good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's a classic one, isn't it? Overqualified. When in reality, you stuffed up the interview. They just didn't want you.
Yeah, your case, BO. And I didn't get me the job, overqualified. And everyone's going, Jesus Christ. Get real with yourself. You stink.
I will never come back to
personal experience.
Thanks, Darren.
That's causal analysis. So some of these words, impulse control, regulation, and causal analysis, it sounds like psychobabble because it is for psychologists like me, or repeating great books to try and sound intelligent, self-efficacy. But actually, when you explain it, it's like, God, yeah, I see it in people every day. I
read some fascinating research the other day, just about luck and taking accountability. This is slightly off topic, but they discovered, and I'll have to put in the comments the book that this was from. It's been discovered that people who are lucky are actually just really observant, are good at responding with solutions. So the people that, say if somebody considers themselves lucky, it's actually a case of they've just observed the situation, they've analysed the situation, and then they've come up with a good solution to that situation. Whereas people who regard themselves as unlucky just go, I can't figure this out, and they're not very observant of as to what's happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's not a tangent, it's spot on, really. That's a bit of causal analysis. You're able to analyse what's going on.
There's a level of self-awareness in that, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah. And it's also something called hindsight bias, where when you win a race, it's because you're so clever, betting on a horse race. But it's not, it's just bloody luck most of the time. Or when something happens, you look back and think, that was all down to me, or it wasn't. It's just your hindsight that makes you think you're so clever. And then there's something else, you said earlier, and this I love this one. It's like that Rocky had people around him to help him and inspire him to get back up again.
Batman villains.
The Riddler tickling him in in a boxing match. Anyway, I'm
not sure what movie that was, mate. That's one of your special ones.
Fantasy. So the reaching out is one of the 7 pillars of resilience. Now, this is interesting. You think being resilient is being strong on your own, being self-efficacy is all about yourself. But actually, it turns out, and we've seen this in some of the studies and people we've worked with, only those that are already pretty mentally tough and resilient and up for it and got self-efficacy, a sense of agency, ask for help.
Oh, really?
Those that need help the most.
So it's a strength thing to ask for help?
Yes, massively. Those that need help the most tend to feel insecure about it, embarrassed about it. It's not good in a social group, a situation where we've lived for most of our history as a species, as a human, in a tribe, to say, I'm a bit weak here, I'm a bit crap at this, I need help right now. Whereas most people would have built up some sort of sense of agency through being really good at something and contributing to their community. And if they're crap at one particular thing or feel knocked down by something, they can ask for help because they've got that sense of agency, but sense of value and self-awareness. But only those that don't need it so much ask for help. Those that need it the most don't, generally. So that's when you've got to look out for the quiet people in your life, because they need help and they won't ask for it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's reaching out, self-efficacy, impulse control, emotional regulation, causal as opposed to casual analysis, Empathy and realistic optimism?
Yeah, most people think, being resilient and yes, we can do this, we're going to do this is brilliant. But that's blind optimism some of the time.
Right, okay.
You don't want your pilot being blindly optimistic. And
we're not going to crash.
Yeah, it'll be all right. I'll check it next time, that sort of thing. You want realistic optimism. So a little bit of pessimism thrown in there is actually good because you can think about things first. And then empathy. Means that you can, it's a bit like that being empathetic to yourself, that causal analysis of being really able to work out what's going on is actually being, wondering what's going on in someone else's head and taking your mind out of yourself and being insular and actually considering what else is going on with other people. Empathy is an ingredient to being resilient. So it's interesting. So I'd say out of those 7, you've got 1.5.
Maybe, yeah. Or we'll say that's half of 3 of them. Yeah. Watch out, we're using microphones, Darren, these days. That's that thing by your head.
But I tell you, there's been some surveys on resilience, and one of them has a question. I'll read this question out to you and see how you react to it and respond to it. One of the questions is...
Screaming and running out the room.
Spirituality or belief in God plays an important role in my life. And if you score highly on that, you're scoring highly on being a resilient person. So how does that question make you feel?
That's really strange. I straight away I come up with that almost is counterintuitive to me, because I would say that people who are more spiritual, there's all the research that they're happier and all the rest of it, but a lot of the research is that they don't necessarily seek solutions to their own problems, because prayer is a way of avoiding seeking your own solutions. So I'm actually surprised that...
Oh, bless you.
That's correct.
Yeah, and it is. Many studies say if you believe in something bigger than yourself, whether it's the universe or Allah or God or whomever, you are more resilient. You can cope with bad things that happen to you because you've got people to turn to, or it's part of God's greater will.
Yep.
Now, I feel like that's a cop-out. There's a whole nother podcast there.
And I think we are going to do one, aren't we, on religion, why people need religion. Later down the track, but anyway, keep going, sir.
Yeah, and or if something good happens to you, you don't get full of yourself and think it was all me. It's part of God's greater thing. But it turns out that's not the core to why people that are religious it's because they tend to congregate. You have congregations. You have people go to temple.
So it gives you a community.
So if something bad happens to you, what happens if you're in and people in the congregation hear about it?
Is it that they would provide support and assistance?
If you're at a mosque, people come and chat to you and put their hand around you,
which is a good thing.
Yeah, but it turns out that's not it. That's not why you're more resilient.
Down lots of paths here,
no, because these are the paths that I've researched, and you assume why. I'm leading you down. But it turns out that being the person that's supporting the other one is what makes you resilient. Being the supporter, not the supportee.
Oh, really?
So helping out others makes you feel in control, stronger, happier. And studies show, I think one study suggested that the fastest way of improving your well-being and being happy is to volunteer.
So literally about to ask you about voluntary work, whether or not the same applies to people who are involved in voluntary work.
Yeah. So you're able to cope, and it builds that self-efficacy, resilience, well-being, self-efficacy are intertwined. And if you've built that, then you can cope, and you can build that through helping out others, doing nice things. It's fascinating
the voluntary then work can lead to so much benefits in terms of well-being as a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you make people do voluntary work, like in the Work for the Dole programme for unemployed people in Australia, that will get pushback and resistance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Make people do voluntary work.
Man, I love the fact that in your notes you take us on a bit of a tangent, because I didn't know this around resilience. To keep calm and carry on, of course, became a meme and a poster in 1,000 sort of kitchenettes across Australia, the UK, and elsewhere.
Yeah, I saw it in America. Loads of places.
Keep calm and follow Liverpool. Keep calm and whatever it might be. There's one for everything, isn't there? And they've kind of disappeared now. But that was one of 3 phrases in the war that was designed to help the British build resilience.
Yes, and it is resilience. It's that keep calm. So it's the thing we were talking about with the movie stars. Bond calms So, and carry on, just keep going, one foot in front of the other. And Britain at the start of the war, or before the war even started, was thinking, we're going to have to knuckle down, and this is a marathon, going to be a marathon, not a sprint. But it turns out keep calm, carry on wasn't actually used publicly. It wasn't actually marketed. Really? So there were 3 phrases developed by the University of London. And
before you go this way, what was funny for me is I read this, and I haven't read what the other 2 are. But my brain was, there's lots of these phrases that came out from the Second World War that we now use about loose lips sink ships. All those sort of things are actually...
Is that what the phrase is? I thought it was loose lips.
Yeah, let's start with that phrase.
And you did a James Bond impression there, shrink ship.
But you found these 3 phrases developed by the British?
Yeah, the University of London, it was actually developed them. They had a thing there to try and instill it was where the Ministry of Information was located.
Yeah.
So that's why it was relevant to them. But the other 2 was the really punchy one of them. So keep calm and carry on. What was the other one?
What is it? Your courage, your cheerfulness, your resolution will bring us victory.
Ah, there we go.
Straight out of Soviet Russia, isn't it? Wow. Freedom is in peril, defend it with all your might. I mean, they don't roll off the tongue, do they? But I get the notion.
Yeah. And it's interesting, though. You wouldn't think you'd have the government in World War II saying, be cheerful.
Oh, right, that'd be nice.
Yeah. But your resolution, that's a lovely word. It's an old word for resilience, basically. And your courage, I don't know. It's interesting that they were used, but it's interesting that keep calm and carry on was never used. But I think we've covered the 7 pillars there, haven't we?
I think so. So what's the takeaways for this? So people that are struggling with resilience or looking to build resilience, how do you build resilience?
Yeah, well, one of the things is you can. One of it.
That's a key question, isn't it? You know this?
Yes, and you can measure. There are different measures of resilience. I think the most common one's the brief resilience scale. You can teach people different methods. So go and volunteer, or show gratitude. Send someone a text, say thanks for doing that you wouldn't normally send it to, and they go, oh, that's embarrassing. But then people come back and say, bloody hell, doing something that's fluffy, has been grateful to someone. Literally buying them a bunch of flowers or something, or saying, do you know what, you really cheer me up whenever I fill up with petrol every day and I pay you money in the petrol station. That gives you a sense of control and efficacy, which is the core to building out those other things.
Yeah, because I've read the Resilience Project, which is predominantly about gratefulness, isn't it? So gratefulness actually builds resilience.
Yeah, gratitude, one of those 10 positive emotions. Yeah. So you can build it. It's about bouncing back from adversity, but core thing, if you remember one thing from this podcast, is be like a palm tree. And I've seen you in discos, nightclubs rather, because this is the 2020s, and you dance in a willowy. Anyway, it's really odd, but be like that.
Be like the palm tree.
Be like the palm tree. Be flexible, but don't be hard on yourself. Sometimes you need a bit of time to regroup.
Thank you, as always, Dr. Darren Coppin. If you've enjoyed this conversation about resilience, you'll love all the other ones that we have coming up. We've got some amazing speakers coming up. We have podcasts on meaning and purpose, for example, and a whole range of other things that we will hope will help you be better at being human. If you like what we're saying, please connect with us on our Facebook group or connect with us on TikTok. But the best thing you can do right now is go listen to the last episode we have on YouTube, subscribe, and make sure next Tuesday, 7 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, that you're listening out for our next episode. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Labba.
Thanks.
Oi, Budge!